Well, hello there. How is everyone? I hope you are all well on this. What day is it? It's Sunday. It is Sunday. I've literally not long had Sunday dinner, as it's like 4:20. Anyway, I hope you are all well. You're looking amazing, by the way. And look, I have to give a shout out to JB Gunner, actually, because it was him who sort of pointed me in the direction of this article. I hadn't seen it. But look, what I will say is I don't like having to do this, because I feel that certain people, even though the reasoning behind us questioning some of the things that certain people have done or not done, are warranted, it gets to the point where you think to yourself, look, I don't want to make this just about bashing this specific person. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about Dylan Mortensen, because she has took a lot of flack. We've questioned certain things. We have wondered why on earth she wouldn't have called for help sooner, if indeed the things that we've heard have been true, such as that her and Bethany Funk had been texting each other while these crimes were happening, because if that's the case, then that's a massive, massive red flag. But people have sort of rightfully turned around and said, well, but we don't know if that's accurate. But the same people will happily go through the same article that stated that, and they will pick and choose the bits that suit their narrative better, and they'll accept those bits. So again, it's about either have it all or don't have any of it. And if you're going to have it all, then it states within the Howard Bloom article that this indeed is something that happened. And are there clues as to whether there is some truth behind that? And, the fact that we've questioned the lack of, I don't know, like I've said in the past, what I've said is that the younger generation, there doesn't really seem to be a lot of empathy. It is a lot about self-preservation. We see it in our own children. Our children are raised well, but especially the girls, there don't seem to be a lot of love between them and a lot of understanding. It's very much a dog-eat-dog world between them. And in the Idaho 4 case, some people have said, perhaps Dylan just didn't care. It was about protecting herself, and she didn't really care what happened to the rest. Let's go and beyond. When you start trying to understand what someone's thinking, there's just no point. You have to look at the facts, and the facts were these crimes happened, and there was a delay in calling 911. But what is interesting is that Dylan Mortensen's family had come out not that long ago and expressed the fact that she was suffering from survivor's guilt, and everybody started to feel sorry for Dylan again, and they were talking about the fact that, do you know what, can you imagine being in her position? I still do think to myself, do you know what, I wouldn't want to be in that position. I can't imagine it. I can't. But equally, I can't forget that this crime happened, and there was an 8-hour delay between when that happened and when law enforcement was called. And in fact, law enforcement wasn't even called then. Their friends were called over first. Friends were called over first. And that has always stuck out in my mind. But what is happening now is we are seeing that Dylan Mortensen doesn't perhaps seem to be suffering from survivor's guilt as much as she, or we have been led to believe that she is. And look, what I will say before we go through this is she is entitled to a life. Just because what happened, it doesn't mean that her life should cease. Because I know what people are going to say. They're going to turn around and say, look, she is a young girl. She herself is full of life, and it would be even more of a tragedy if the ripples of what happened indeed carried on and it destroyed even more lives. I wouldn't want to see that. I wouldn't want to see that. And this, what we're going to talk about, isn't about that. It isn't about thinking, oh, she's not suffering enough to make me happy. It isn't about that. But we have been led to believe that we should not question Dylan. We shouldn't say anything. And, and in effect, what's happened recently is that her family have come out and tried to guilt trip everybody, to really say that she is suffering, she's seeking help from the spiritual community, and she's sitting at home basically on her own with no friends, and the only real, community that she has now is a gaming community where she games online, which seems to be utter bullshit. So we get into it. So here we go. So Idaho murder victim's roommate Dylan Mortensen is seen in costume, dancing and partying with friends just weeks after her family revealed she suffers from survivor's guilt over her brush with accused killer Brian Kohberger. Now, we did say, look, they had tattoos like days after. Tattoos. They went to a tattoo shop and they had tattoos done. So I always did wonder just how much they really were struggling with things. But they're out, she's partying, she's dressing up, and she's looking not like someone who is perhaps locked in her bedroom suffering from survivor's guilt. One of 2 Idaho students who survived the massacre at their shared house and emerging from her self-imposed isolation, her photos show. A year after the attack, Dylan Mortensen, 21, has been racked with survivor's guilt, according to her stepmother, and turned into a recluse, staying at home and playing video games, according to her father. Patricia Monroe, Mortensen's stepmother, said earlier this month that she had dropped out of University of Idaho and switched schools, so it was not clear whether she was back to visit or if she is still in the same college. Got some pictures here. She's been celebrating with her friends after turning into a recluse due to survivor's guilt from the Idaho murders. Happy big something. Got some pictures here. Mortensen, far left, is seen at a sorority initiation known as the Big Little Reveal with her University of Idaho friends Jesse Patnode, Center, and McKenna Jackson in an Instagram photo posted September 15th. There we go, look. Happy Big Little. Got some more pictures. Mortensen and Jackson are seen at the September 15th gathering. So it says Mortensen has found her life turned upside down since the murder of her 4 roommates in November 2022. Madison Mogan, 21, Kelly Gonzalez, 21, Xana Canodal, 20, and her boyfriend Ethan Chapin, 20, 4 stabbed to death in their beds in the early hours of Sunday morning. Mortensen said she saw a man leaving the house in Moscow, Idaho in the early hours, but did not realise until hours later that the 4 of her roommates had been murdered. Brian Kohberger, a 28-year-old criminology student, has been charged with 4 counts of murder and pleaded not guilty. He remains in jail with no trial date set. Mortensen left Moscow earlier this year, said Monroe, Mortensen's stepmother. Monroe was married to Mortensen's father, Brent, and helped raise Dylan from the age of 7 until almost her graduation for high school. She told the New York Post she remained close to the family and Mortensen was okay. Monroe, 53, said there is a lot of guilt because, you know, if someone says, oh, well, Dylan was so lucky, you know, you don't want to take on that luck because of all the children deserve luck. They all deserve to be spared from that. We've got some more photographs there. Oh, God. Does she look on crack? So there we have it. Mortensen told police she stood in a frozen shock phase as a figure clad in black clothing and a mask walked towards her and then towards the back sliding glass door and left the house. She then locked herself in her room and did not emerge until the next morning. Didn't need a piss or anything. Mortensen and Bethany Funk, the other roommate who survived the attacks, did not call police until noon the next day, which has given rise to online trolls. Online trolls. You're a troll because you question why there was 8 hours. Get fucked. Attacking Mortensen and Funk and claiming they were involved in the murders. It's not about just claiming they're involved in the murders. It's about trying to understand how it takes that long to call 911 and when you're calling friends over first. And we've picked over the bones of it. You know it. You never really think about online backlash and trolls until you deal with it, and it's just a really hurtful thing, Monroe said. I challenge anyone to be in the position where they wake up to 4 of their roommates gone and, you know, not even realising it. People have to understand these children are very young. Not 5, though, are they? Because even a 5-year-old calls 911. I've said it before, I'll say it again. You know, they're just young kids, and it's really traumatising thing. They're young adults. I just think that people need to have compassion, what they seemingly completely and utterly lacked. And we've got some more pictures of the girls. There needs to be space and time for all the details to come out in trial, which I do agree with, there does. And hopefully that specific part of this will get addressed. But there you go. It's basically just showing us what we learned before, what we're told. But there you go. She's out partying, and I know this is going to be a bit of a room splitter. There's going to be people who turn around and say it's a good thing. She's out and about, and and look. Part of me understands that, and like I said at the beginning of this video, I don't want to think of anybody further suffering because of it, but there's still elements of this case that do stink, and that 8 hours is a massive bone of contention for many people, including myself. It doesn't make sense why it would take that long to call 911, and it doesn't make any sense that not only that, but friends were called over first, decimating the crime scene. And even to, call specific people over when the question is then, well, why did you call people over? Why did you not go and check on the other people who are in the house? It's bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre. Let me know what you think down below. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I hope you have a fantastic day. And hopefully it will be half as fantastic as you look, because that would be amazing. I'll catch you all tomorrow.